Alex Mahajer for HAPS TV. It is Tuesday, August 11th, and here are all of the biggest news and headlines to help you start your day. Thanks for joining. If you like what you hear, please leave a comment and tell me what you think about this morning's news. So on Saturday, Donald Trump moved ahead without Congress and signed on an executive order that he says is meant to provide economic relief to workers, businesses, and local governments amidst the COVID-19 crisis, which has claimed more than 163,000 American lives as of this morning, according to the New York Times. Donald Trump's executive order comes in the wake of failed talks with congressional Democrats last week to release a new coronavirus relief package. Now that the eviction protections and unemployment assistance that the Democrats passed in May have expired. So the executive order has four parts to it. It cuts payroll taxes for individuals making less than $100,000, or it claims to cut payroll taxes. It suspends student loan payments that are owned by the federal government and halts interests on those loans. It claims to halt evictions, and it includes a plan to provide supplemental unemployment benefits using FEMA disaster relief funds. So this executive order has drawn a great deal of criticism, with some even calling it a political stunt. While Trump does have the power to sign an executive order that takes action on student loans, Democrats and Republicans alike are coming out to say that the other elements of the executive order are toothless, and that the president doesn't have the power to take action on evictions, payroll taxes, and supplemental unemployment benefits, and that this power lies solely with Congress. So is this just a political stunt? The president signed the executive order from the comfort of a golf course on Saturday, which is a move that came off as tactless and tone deaf, which is, to be fair, is not unusual for Mr. Trump, but it would make sense that he is desperate for a political win because the 2020 election is drawing ever near. And polls have shown that his Democratic opponent, Joe Biden, is taking substantial leads in crucial states, and even states where Republicans have historically had a stronghold, like Texas. Leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. I would love to know what you think, because even if this isn't just a toothless political stunt meant to bolster his dwindling re-election chances, the executive order is problematic when you take a really good close look at it. So let's do that and break it down. So firstly, the unemployment benefits in Trump's executive order provide a monthly supplement of only $400 a month in jobless benefits. And not only that, only $300 of those $400 come from the federal government. So what this executive order is asking is that states contribute another $100 to the supplements to total the $400. Now, the financial burden on the states is just too great, according to many U.S. governors who have called the proposal unworkable and even impossible. States and local governments are already pretty strapped for cash due to a sudden and dramatic decrease in tax revenue, and the additional burden of paying out $100 a month to every American requesting unemployment benefits would drive states into a deeper financial burden. So right here in Los Angeles County, government employees are facing massive layoffs in the absence of any federal aid package to save jobs, as public services have come to a virtual standstill. Without any tax revenue, state and local governments need more assistance from the federal government, not the increased burden of paying a portion of the unemployment benefits that are promised in the executive order. Remember that in July, the United States Department of Labor reported that 1 million Americans have filed for unemployment benefits since the outset of the coronavirus pandemic. The other problem is that even if this were to somehow be legal, which all indications are that it is not, it raises questions as to how most Americans are expected to live on $400. Not only that, but under this scenario, the money that is expected to come out of FEMA would pay these unemployment benefits, and that money would really only last about a month because there's not enough funds in that FEMA fund to sustain long term. So we'll be right back where we started in about a month, and Congress will be required to step in again. The second part of this executive order that also doesn't really pass muster when under scrutiny is the payroll tax order. So the executive order requires that on September 1st, the Treasury Department allows employers to defer payment. I'm getting a question from Amber. Where's the government getting the funds? The funds are coming from FEMA, a FEMA fund. And that will expire in about a month because there's not enough money in that fund to really sustain a long-term unemployment benefit. So the second part of the executive order is about the payroll tax cut. So it's not really a tax cut. It's basically saying that on September 1st, the Treasury Department will allow employers to defer payment for the employee portion of the Social Security tax for workers who make less than $100,000 a year. So the key phrase here is defers. That money will eventually have to be paid, meaning that for people who are getting a brief decrease in their a cut in their payroll taxes, that will come due in 2021, and there will be a substantial tax bill. And Drew is asking, can we expect another PPP round? There is no indication that there is going to be another round of PPP. That was one of the failed talks between congressional Democrats and Republicans, and those talks are not scheduled to resume anytime soon, and it's not a part of the executive order that Trump passed. The third part of the Trump executive order is evictions. So it doesn't really actually extend the 120-day eviction moratorium that was passed by Democrats earlier this year. That moratorium only really covered about 1/3 of renters. So Democrats have been calling for the extension of this moratorium for a year and to extend it to all renters, but no such luck under this Trump executive order. I'd like to talk really quick about the 2020 election. Trump is calling for that basically he's calling to kill Social Security. He's saying that he wants to permanently terminate the Social Security payroll tax, and that is going to eliminate Social Security effectively. And so 64 million Americans currently receive Social Security benefits, and hundreds of millions of people will receive Social Security benefits in coming decades. So this is sort of a puzzler. Social Security is also pretty popular, as is Medicare. People rely on it. And so we're kind of baffled about Trump and his statements in terms of what he plans to do for the next, if he's reelected. Of course, the alternative is Joe Biden, and he's been in the news a lot this past week as speculation about his vice presidential pick has reached a fever pitch. He's expected to announce very shortly, any minute now, any day now, because the Democratic National Convention, of course, will be held next week, Monday, August 17th through the August 20th. The shortlist for the VP pick seems to have a lot of buzz heavy around Senator Kamala Harris from California, Congresswoman Karen Bass, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, and former National Security Advisor Susan Rice, Senator Elizabeth Warren, and other names getting a lot of attention are Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms and Florida Congresswoman Val Demings. So what do you think? Who do you think will be Joe Biden's pick? Who do you think should be Joe Biden's pick? Do some of these candidates come with baggage that will make it difficult to sell to the American people, or does the vice presidential pick really have that much of an effect on the ticket? Whatever the case, Joe Biden is set to make a historic decision, as it will only be the fourth time a woman has been on the ticket for a major party in American history. So shout out to Geraldine Ferraro, Sarah Palin, and Hillary Clinton, who was the first female major party nominee for president of the United States back in 2016, and I'll note, won the national popular vote by nearly 3 million votes. So Mackenzie Husband thinks Republican voters would lose if Social Security is eliminated. Any chance that could swing them to vote for Biden? I think it's very likely. Drew Shepard, what would happen to those who currently get Social Security if removed? Well, the funds would eventually expire. So I'm assuming once the funds were tapped, then there would no longer be Social Security to distribute to people that need it. So Pablo thinks it has to be Warren. I happen to also agree with you, Pablo, but I think it was very high time that we have a woman of color on a presidential ticket, and I think that would be a very historic, important choice. And so I'm thinking it may and should go that direction. So thank you for joining the AM Report. If you like what you hear, please follow us on HAPS TV. You can find me on HAPS TV at Alex Mahajer. Tune in tomorrow morning for your 10-minute breakdown of the news, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks.